Hello and welcome to the sewing studio. Today I'm going to show you how to make these gorgeous little origami gift bags. And these are perfect if you've got a little gift that you want to give somebody. They're reusable, they're really useful, and you've made them out of less than 2 fat quarters of fabric. So I've got different sizes here. So when I come to explain it in a minute, I'll talk about the size squares that we're using. But I just want to show you, so I've done this tiny little one here, and I've done this with a cotton reel fabric and a pale blue on the inside. And inside here, I've popped a reel of thread and a little pair of snips. Who wouldn't want to receive that if you've got a sewing friend that you want to give a little gift to? You can see I've done one here in Christmas fabric. That would be lovely if you wanted to put some sweets in it or something, a nice little Christmas gift there. I've got this one here, which is made with fabric that's got shoes on. I think this is lovely. I love it, it's pink. And in here, you've got a little gift. So we've got a nail file, we've got a tissue pouch, and a little bottle of nail varnish. What a gorgeous little gift that would be as well. So I'm going to show you how you make these, and they're made with a square, and as long as your fabric is square, this will work. So I'm just going to move these out the way and I'm going to talk you through the process. Oh, I meant to say a couple of these have actually got buttons on as well, so you can decorate them with buttons. Some have, some haven't. So you need, let's just move them over there. You need 2 squares of fabric, which you put together and you sew them right sides together, and you sew them all the way round. You leave a gap for turning and you turn them through. So that's what I've done here. So you can see that I've turned it through the right way, and then I've top stitched all the way around, closing the gap. So I've got 2 pieces of fabric put together. Now this one measures 14.5 inches square. So if I just talk you through these, so the bigger ones were 18 inches square, and the bigger ones, so that one was 18 inches, that one was 16 inches. And what I did was I put a little bit of iron-on Vilene between the fabric, so they've actually got a little bit more body. But the smaller ones, so this was a 14-inch square. No, this was a 14-inch square. This was a 13-inch square. And I didn't put any Vilene between these because I felt they were that much smaller. They stood up okay. But the bigger the bag, I would recommend that you put some iron-on Vilene between the layers. So we've got our square. And then what we do is decide which one you want as your outside fabric. So if we want this pattern as our outside fabric, we do this. We fold it towards the other one, corner to corner, like this. I'll just show you that again. So take it that it's on point, and you fold it, and then you fold it again. And what you need to do is you need to make sure that this piece here is actually a square. So just measure that and make sure that you've got that as a square. Because if that isn't a square, you're not going to get this lovely point here. So make sure that both of these are a square. And then the next thing you're going to do is we're just going to pop a pin in to hold this here at this center point. And then we're going to fold it in half like this. Just finger press it. And then I'm going to get a fabric marker. And I'm going to mark the center line. And this is an iron-off marker pen. And I'm just marking that centre line down the middle there. So you can see here, I've got a centre line. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to measure out from your centre line So I'm going to measure this, and I'm going to measure 1 inch. On the smaller bag, I measured 3/4 of an inch out from each line, because this is what's going to form our base. So again, I'm going to measure, and I'm going to make another line, and that's going to be our sew line. So if I show you on the next one that I've prepared, so there's my, let's get it under this camera, there's my pen line that I've drawn, and then I've measured out, and on this one, I think because it's a slightly smaller bag, I've gone 3/4 of an inch out, and I've done a stitch line, 3/4 of an inch out from that pen line, and I've done a stitch line. So that's the next stage, and we're remembering that this floral fabric is going to be the outside of our fabric, the outside of our bag. So the next one we take and we fold it in half, point to point, with the fabric that we want on the outside. And this is the bit that I got confused about when I first did it. I kept thinking I needed to do it inside out. You don't. You need to remember what you want on the outside is on the outside now. And then I've just folded it point to point, and I've machined down both sides. And you can see there's the machining that we did on either side of our line earlier on. Let me just show you that again. The machining either side of our line. And that's what we can see here, that machine line and that machine line. And if you can line those two up so they're in line with each other, and you also want your corners to match there and there. So that's the next thing that you do, is you machine. And then when you've done that, let me just show you on this one. You're going to put your hand inside, and you're going to poke out a corner like this. So you can see I've machined across there. If I pop a pin in it just to show you what I mean. And I've machined straight across. Put my hand inside, poke out that corner, and machine straight across. So you can see there and there you've got the machine line. So you've ended up with something that looks like that. Let me show you again. So we've got our corner there stitched across, our corner there stitched across. And this bit doesn't feel right because you keep thinking, well, this is my outside fabric, and yet I'm stitching across on the outside. So if you're thinking that, you've got it right. And then you put your hand inside, and this is where the magic happens. You turn it inside out. And hey presto, you've got your little bag. So you just turn these over now, these points, and you give it a good press. And then you run a machine line across here. You can see I've used this one a few times for demonstrations, which is why it's not sitting flat at the moment. But you run a machine line along here. So you've got your gap here, and then you can thread your tape through. So you can see that I've stitched along both sides, and I've got a gap here. So I'm now going to thread my ribbon through. And this one I put Vilene inside because this bag is actually slightly bigger. And then I'm going to tie these, so the two that I've just threaded through, I'm going to tie, or you can put a bead on them if you wanted to. So just give those a little tie there. And then start at the opposite end And then take your two ends and pull it together. And you've got a lovely little gift bag that you can put something in. You can pop a button on it, as these ones have got. These two here have got buttons on. I just think it's a great way of giving a gift. And if you've got two fat quarters, you can make that size or slightly bigger. So I think it's a really lovely idea. They're reusable and fun to make, and they're quite addictive as well. Once you start making them, you'll find that you'll be making them for all your friends. So as always, have fun, make it your own, and I look forward to seeing you next time here in the sewing studio.